and welcome to Logan Sounds Off, where I talk about books, music, and a whole lot more. I'm your host, Logan Kelly. Hello and welcome to Logan Sounds Off. Today I'm interviewing the one and only Kelly Jones from Stereophonics, Far From Saints, and much more. How are you, Kelly?
I'm very good. Nice to see you.
Thank you. Nice to see you too. So first of all, for those who aren't familiar with you or your music, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, my name is Kelly Jones. I'm in a band called Stereophonics. Our first record came out in 1997. And now I'm doing another band called Far From Saints. I've made a few solo records. I come from South Wales and I've been playing music most of my life. So I'm here talking to you.
You mentioned there that you're in Wales, but growing up in Wales, Wales is well known for its music, from Tom Jones to the Welsh choirs, brilliant music. So what were you listening to as a child?
My father was a singer, so he used to play at the local working men's clubs. So I'd follow him around a lot. And when I was about 12, or 11, started a band, and I did my first gigs when I was 12, playing in the working men's clubs. And I guess I was listening to a lot of my brothers' record collections. My older brothers were listening to the Eagles, Bruce Springsteen and Neil Young and Bob Dylan, and lots of records like that. My dad was listening to Stevie Wonder stuff, and I was listening to lots of AC/DC and kind of more rock and roll sort of things. So yeah, kind of inspired by all the older people around me, really.
That's a really cool mix of music to be listening to when you're younger. So then, and I think this is really interesting, and you guys might not know this, but you studied film script writing in college.
Yeah.
So how did that form from film script writing into being a musician?
So when I was in school, I was playing in the band. And then when I left school, I went to art college. And then from art college, I ended up doing film and animation. So during the whole time, really, I was writing music and I was playing in bands and stuff like that. So some of the film ideas and script ideas went into songs, and some of the songs went into film ideas. And then when I left kind of university at the end, the BBC offered me a job to write scripts. But it was around about the same time that Richard Branson offered me a record deal. So I took the music and then I used everything I learned to do album covers and t-shirts and stage design and videos and things like that. So it all kind of came in very, very helpful anyway.
I see. And do you think if you weren't a musician now, would you be working in the film industry?
I think I'd be working in something that was storytelling, for sure. Yeah, I like writing stories and scripts, and I like making the videos, and I like making film ideas. So I would hope so. I would hope that I would be in something in the media that was, I think songwriting is telling stories too. So I would hope to be doing that kind of thing.
That's incredible. And I see what you mean where you're saying with writing stories, because a lot of your songs that you've wrote seem like stories. And when Stereophonics started out, I believe in 1992, did you have any expectations for the band?
Well, we hoped. I guess we had a lot of drive and a lot of ambition. Every Tuesday evening and every Sunday afternoon, we would rehearse without fail. So there was definitely a big ambition and a big drive to do something. I don't think it was to be famous or to be a rock and roll star or anything. I think I had something to offer creatively, and I was trying to get that out of myself as an expression. So I hoped that something would happen, but lots of things have to fall in places. Sent lots of tapes off to record companies, lots of rejection letters, lots of no's, and finally, then some people wanted to take an interest in the band. So it was a long time to come, but I think I was 22 by the time I got a record deal.
And Once you guys got that record deal, you rose to the scene pretty quickly in comparison to some other bands who started out and it took them very long to get onto the scene. But you guys built a massive fan base very quickly. So were you overwhelmed by the response?
Yeah, it felt like a lot coming at us very, very fast. We were doing like maybe 12, 15 interviews a day in colleges and universities. We were doing, 120, 130 shows a year. So we did a lot of grassroots, traveling around in a van, doing lots of shows, opening up for lots of bigger acts. So yeah, we put the work in. And I think if you put the work in at the beginning and you keep making good music, it just grows and grows and grows and grows. So it wasn't some sort of media kind of fad. It was done from the bottom up, really.
Okay. And then where you were speaking about writing and that you love writing stories and things, especially with a lot of your tracks. You've mentioned in some interviews before that you kind of write about the world around you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's very interesting. But what I wanted to ask was that is it sometimes hard is it difficult to put what's around you into a song ever?
I think on my first few records and the songs I was writing before I had a record deal, I guess I was writing about, it was much more observational. I was writing about things I was seeing because I hadn't really experienced a great deal in my life at that point. And then as records go by, each one, something else happens in your life and your experience it changes in life and you get older and your perspective changes and your internal experiences change. I think ultimately the top line of all of it is really you write from an honest perspective and you just be honest with yourself and you be honest with what you're writing, and it's not contrived and it's not trying to be something that you're not. So whether that's me looking at somebody else or me looking at myself, I try to just make it as real and as honest as I can, really.
And do you think there was any musicians that inspired that thought process when writing music?
Yeah, I love the storytelling. I love people like Neil Young. I thought he was a beautiful lyric writer. Obviously, Bob Dylan. There was a guy in a band from Canada called the Tragically Hip. There was a lyric writer in that band called Gordon Downey. He was very inspirational. But I also love Roald Dahl, and I also loved Billy Connolly. I thought he was a great storyteller, and I also love John Sullivan, who wrote all the Only Fools and Horses kind of series. So there was other writers I was inspired by the way that they would capture an audience's attention with character and twists. So those kind of writers inspired me too.
Okay. And now with Stereophonics and also now with Far From Saints,
Mm-hmm.
your debut album with the band just came out and we'll speak about that a bit later. But what I wanted to ask regarding that is how do you feel writing with others?
I've never really done much writing with other people, so it's been really good writing with Patty and Dwight. I love watching Patty sing every night, and her voice and my voice together accidentally worked really, really nice together. And it's nice to bounce ideas back and forth. So I've really enjoyed it. It kind of takes a bit of pressure off, not to be the one leading the whole thing. Very, very different process to Stereophonics, but a very nice new experience. Yeah, very different.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then also you've done now Stereophonics, Far From Saints, and you've got your solo career. Do you enjoy having the solo career and the two groups there at your side in kind that you that is do you mind having those three different aspects of music making in your life?
It's been quite nice to do, actually. I think for a long time with Stereophonics, I was afraid to kind of leave it in case something happened to it. But in the last few years, I guess since before lockdown, 2019, 2018, doing a little bit more of my own thing and writing with other people. All that does really is it ignites the fire for the Stereophonics thing anyway, because it makes things fresh and it makes things, as long as I feel like I'm growing and moving forward and I'm not kind of stuck in one spot. I like it. So it's been really nice the last couple of years having the ability to be able to bounce from project to project and keep doing different things, because it keeps things very fresh. Sort of like that, yeah.
That's really cool. And now I'm going to quickly touch on your solo career. That you started your first record as a solo artist. You released in 2007.
Yeah.
But why did you decide in the first place to pursue a career as a solo artist?
At that time on the record, only the names have been changed. That was mainly done because the record company had been sold, and I was in between we didn't know what was going on, and I had some songs, and I made that record, and it was kind of very, very loose release, but it was kind of cool. And then I did a tour for it, and it was nice to go on stage with like a string quartet, and that was very different from a big rock and roll band behind me. So it's kind of, again, it's just feeling different experiences from different musicians and different people. So yeah, it was a good thing to try.
Super. Like, I can't believe how much you've done, that you've sang yourself as a solo artist. You've co-sang now with Patricia Lynn in Far From the Saints.
Yeah.
Which is a brilliant album, by the way.
Thank
If
you.
you guys haven't heard the album, definitely check it out on whichever streaming service that you use. But and you've also been a lead singer with Stereophonics. So what are the dynamics like with those three different types of singing?
Well, the Stereophonics thing is very kind of a powerful band, and I kind of have to sing very big and, really kind of take the back wall off the arena. There's a very powerful kind of thing coming at you most of the time. With Patty, you kind of sing in different keys, and it's got an Americana country tilt to it. So I'm singing in harmony, which I don't really do in Stereophonics. That's a very different thing. And the solo thing, I guess, I'm playing piano and I'm playing ukuleles and guitars, so it's much more addressing the audience, so I can actually tell stories in between the songs and things like that. So I guess that's much more of a kind of storytelling evening with kind of environment. So they're all very different, actually. Yeah.
Wow. I expected them to be at least a bit different, but no, you've explained that perfectly and given a really brilliant insight. Thank you. And we were just talking about all that you've done, and you've released tons of records. And which do you feel yourself was the hardest record to do?
Well, I think records, the Far From the Saints thing was pretty easy. That was, I say easy, it wasn't easy, but it came about very naturally, I think is the best way. We've done it in 9 days. It was very, very, very fast moving. And so was the last few Stereophonics records, really. I've made a new solo record which comes out next year. That was about 6 days. So of late, the last few years, the records are becoming very, very much more natural and easier to make. Maybe because of the songs, I don't know. Maybe because of the environment, I'm not quite sure. But there have been some Stereophonics that have took longer and took quite a while to get right, or trying to find the challenges behind what those records are. But none really come to mind which were really problematic, but they're just all very different experiences, really.
I see. And now, obviously, you've shown that you have a lot of experience in the music industry. So what tips would you give to young musicians who are struggling to put records out on streaming services or into record stores?
From a songwriting point of view, I would say write what you know, write from the heart, be honest. Don't try to be something that you're not. As hard as that may be, sometimes it's harder to be yourself than it is to try to be somebody else. Streaming wise and things like that, it's very hard. I think there's a lot of that. It's like 4,000 uploads a day or something, so it's very hard to be lost. You're kind of a needle in a haystack, so it's not easy for younger artists to be established. But try to find people you can play in front of, play live as much as you can, because that experience, you can't buy that experience. You will go on stage and you will fall down and you will perform badly and you will feel like you're dying up there, but you have to keep going up there and doing it. And that's the best way to learn, really, because you know what you're doing wrong. Until you do it in front of somebody else, you don't really know what's right or what's wrong,
They're incredible tips. And then before we go, because I think this would be a very interesting question, is what are you listening to at the moment?
What am I listening to at the moment? What was I listening to yesterday? I was listening to a Neil Young record. I was listening to some audiobooks. I was listening to an old Smashing Pumpkins record. It's kind of random. In the dressing room, we had on some Miles Davis. It's different things every day, really. Lots of new bands as well. Sam Fender record was on yesterday. Yeah, lots of different things.
Now, this is me being total grunge nerd here. Which Smashing Pumpkins record was it?
I was listening to 1979. The song came on the playlist. Yeah,
that's brilliant album. I have it on CD. It's actually
I like the album Door. That's one of my favorite ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Kelly. It's been brilliant to chat to you.
Likewise.
You've been very interesting, and I think if everyone who's viewing this now will agree. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much, buddy.
It's been such a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you. And good luck with it. You're doing a fantastic job.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Logan Sounds Off. You can follow me on X, Facebook and Instagram at Logan Sounds Off. And don't forget to subscribe and not miss any more cool episodes. Bye guys!